My mother is afraid of water. When I was little, we all knew she was afraid of water, but she had a determination in her mind. She said, I'm not going to have my kids be afraid of water. And so she registered my sister and I in swimming classes every summer. And I loved those swimming classes. They were a lot of fun. And I did really well. I learned all the strokes that they gave me. But one year it was a little different, because on that year we had to do something that I was not comfortable doing. You see, in every swimming pool there is that barrier, that rope that goes across the end of the pool with little buoys attached. And it goes into what I thought at the time was the mysterious, death-inducing deep end of the pool. Well, in order to pass that year, I had to be able to swim the entire length of the pool, which meant I had to swim through the deep end. Worse than that, I had to jump off the low end of the diving board and then jump in and swim the whole length of the pool. I couldn't do it. I failed. My mother was deeply disappointed because she didn't want us to be afraid of water like she was terrified of water. So next year we all entered into our swimming classes again. I had to redo that class, and I learned all of the strokes. But it came to that buoyed line where I just didn't want to cross. But finally, I climbed up on that low-end diving board. I jumped off, and I swam for all it's worth to the other end, and I passed. I conquered the deep end of the pool. Since then, I have traveled to a lot of places in the world, and I've gone snorkeling, and it's one of my favorite things to do. But one of the first times I was snorkeling, I was not paying attention to where I was going, and as I snorkeled out past to the edge of the reef, all of a sudden, the reef dropped off, and all of a sudden I could see nothing. I could not see the bottom of the ocean, and for a moment my childhood panic returned because I was over the deep end of the pool, and I had to swim back and collect my thoughts as I was terrified. This week, as we have, with the rest of the world, contemplated Easter, what Jesus went through, and the whole world is contemplating that this year, at this time of year. I think about what Jesus said in Matthew chapter 26, where he told his disciples to, in verse 38, he said, "Stay here and watch with me." And he went a little further and fell on his face and prayed, "Oh Father, if it possible, let this cup pass from me." You see, he was facing the deep end of the pool. He was facing the abyss. He was facing death. And he just wanted his disciples to stay with him and walk with him during that time. And he came back, and of course they were sound asleep, and he asked them, "Could you not watch with me just 1 hour?" And then in verse 41 it says, "Watch and pray lest you enter into temptation. The spirit indeed is willing, but the flesh is weak." He was facing the deep end. And of course we know how the story ends. He went to death, to face his death the very next day. But 3 days later, on Sunday morning, he came out of that tomb. He had conquered the deep end. He had conquered it for you and I. But the challenge is the same for you and I. And during this time of the virus, I would challenge you to go deeper in your Bible. I would challenge you to be thinking about how you can learn more about Jesus. I would challenge you to maybe think about family worship if you don't have it already. I would challenge you to go deep with Jesus. Keep walking with Jesus. Keep learning about Jesus. And you too can conquer the deep end of the pool.